Hey tribe, Dawna here from Transformational Healing, and today we are going to go on our second summer wild weed walk. This is actually the 5th wild weed walk in our series, and it's almost midsummer as I'm recording this one, and I hope that you enjoy some of the plants that we can find. I am at Brushwood Folklore Center, and this is one of the back retention ponds. So let's swing around and see what we can find. So the first thing that I notice is that the whole entire side of this pond is covered in what I have always known as pickerelweed. It has a very tall, let's see if I can, a very tall leaf. It kind of heart-shaped and cones around, and the roots are typically going down into the water. The water's down a little bit over here, and if you look real closely as I zoom in, you can see it has this pretty purple flower that comes out on it. So I found them. See? Little tiny strawberry down here, and there's a whole bunch of them right over here. Little tiny strawberries. See how small they are? They're very tiny. But these are wild strawberries, and you can eat them. You just need a lot of them. There's our cattails. Right in with the pickerelweed. And they are definitely too old to be eating right now. But beautiful cattails. There's more of the pickerelweed flower right there. And I spy, meander over here, that iris. So I'll put up on the screen which type of iris this really is, but I did see some purpley blue ones when I was here before, and I always called those blue flag. So we'll see what this yellow one is called. So I'm over at the bigger pond, and I found a single one of those irises that I was talking about that's more bluish purple. It's starting to pass the one that's open, but it looks like there's another one that will open, and that's what we had always called blue flag. So I'm gonna have to look it up. There's the pods and the leaves and a close-up of the flower. And here's one that I've been meaning to show you for a while. These beautiful leaves are perfect specimens. And what I wanted to show you was this. And I was told that this was called bird's foot trefoil. You can see that it's perfect little flowers, and usually it's much shorter than this, shorter to the ground, but these ones are hiding in the shade, so I think that they're trying to get a little bit of sunlight. And here's some of the bird's foot trefoil out in the sun where it hasn't quite gotten mowed down. There we go. But you can see that it's actually all over the place out here, just not as many flowers. And there's only a couple of these guys left. Last time they were closed, but this is orange Hawkweed. See it here. Now we have always called this Indian Paintbrush, but there is another flower called Indian Paintbrush that is much bigger type of flower. I'll put a little picture of it on the screen so that you guys can see. But this is actually a type of hawkweed. Let's see if we can get closer to it. That and the stems are really fuzzy. We grew up and we called this Indian Paintbrush. And there's some more of it over here. Let's see if we can get a better picture of the stem from here. So see, from afar, it looks so pretty. There you go, fuzzy stem. And it's all in here on the edges, and it was out in the middle, but they mowed. I almost totally missed this one. It is the first yarrow that I have seen not in my own garden. Let's see. Let's help it out of this little thing it's stuck in. So, this is yarrow. Yarrow has tiny little yellow dots in the middle, and when it comes up, all those sprigs leave from different places. See in the umbel? All the things in the umbel start at a different point, but they all end at the flat top. And the leaves on yarrow are more fine, so it's more like fern-like. And yarrow is used for the summer solstice. It is used for stopping bleeding in the herbal medicine, and it is also great for protection. So, but right next to all this yarrow, see, I want you to look at this fine leaf. See the fine leaf? And there's some more of it right here, fine leaf. Very, very fluffy, fine leaf. But I want you to look right over here, that's more yarrow. And look at this leaf, which is different. That leaf is going to be the Queen Anne's lace. There's some right next to each other. So I was seeing what I thought was all Queen Anne's lace. See? This one that looks like a carrot top. Queen Anne's lace. This one right next to it, yarrow. More like a fern, yarrow. More like a carrot. And doesn't see how the yarrow, they all come off opposite each other like this? Queen Anne's lace is opposite, but it's much more pinnate as it goes through. And I have not found any blossoming Queen Anne's lace yet, just the itty bitty little ones. We'll go exploring some more. Right here is an example of a larger Queen Anne's lace. Still no blossom, but you can definitely see what I meant about the leaves not being fern-like, like the other ferns. So, that is a wild carrot, or Queen Anne's lace. The blackberries have berried. The blackberries have really strong ridges and sharp points on the leaves, very structured, and you can see the blackberries are starting to grow where the flowers were. So all of this is blackberry. There's some good berries. And you can see new growth. And you can see the stem. And if you look underneath, it is very thorny. Let's see. There we go. There we go. See the thorns? Almost like it's growing on the top of grass. See? We're going to look that up. It has 6 petals, little tiny points on the end of each petal, and it almost looks like it grows on grass. We'll find it. Yay, I'm actually so excited. We found some milkweed. So, beautiful leaves. Kind of similar to that poke, how big those leaves are. But this is milkweed. And if you look carefully, you will see that something's going on with all the leaves on this milkweed. Beautiful flowers, not quite open. They'll come out in purple. And I bet if we looked really carefully, we would be able to find some monarchs, because that's what's eating these leaves. The monarch butterflies will definitely eat these leaves. And we might be able to find one. I'll let you know. So the actual reason that I came back here, where I found the milkweed, is for this sumac plant. So I want to show you sumac, because a lot of people are worried about sumac, but this is a staghorn sumac. And you can see last year's staghorn right there. And you can see one of this year's berries right there. And traditionally, you can make a type of tea out of the staghorn. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but can you see how fuzzy? There it is. How fuzzy this is. And that is why it is staghorn. They come up like horns. They're very close together, but it is also the ends of the new growth are covered in velvet. There we go. They're covered in, like, it feels like velvet, like brand new horns when deer get them. And the stags get their horns, and they're covered in that velvety stuff, and they have to brush it all off. So, back here, this is not poisonous. The leaves are used for medicine. The berries are used for sacred medicine and to make iced tea or berry tea. But you can see that there's a very large stand of them here. And poison sumac has a berry that hangs down, and it is extremely loose, and they turn white. And these are going to turn a brilliant, you can see a green one right there, and a reddish brown one right here, but they are going to turn a brilliant deep, deep brown in August or September when they are ready to use to make that tea. The early leaves are used for other things. And let me check out the bark real quick. Like I said, the new growth bark feels like velvet. Very smooth and fuzzy. And then as it comes down, the older growth bark does not have that fuzziness. It does get little white speckles. Not poison sumac. And I haven't seen any smooth sumac here, just the staghorn where I'm at today. So this hawthorn tree on this side has already lost all of its flowers. And now it is covered with hawthorn berries. You see the thorns? Try to get you a good view of the underside of the leaves anyway. They're pretty distinct, alternating. And then the tree itself is way in there. Very, very craggy. The older bark gets very, very broken up. And then you can see all the old branches and lots of thorns. But the top of this tree is filled with berries. And I do not harvest my own hawthorn berries unless it's for personal use. I get them from a wholesaler so that they are done properly and it doesn't harm the environment. And there's some hawthorn trees out here, but there's not a ton of them. But I will show you some of the flowers if I haven't already. Look what I spy! I found a black-eyed Susan. And leaves, fuzzy stem, and going down. First one I've seen. Black-eyed Susans are often used for justice in legal matters. So if you have things going on with court cases, or you think that someone has done you wrong, or you're trying to do the right and the just thing, this is a perfect plant to add to your offering mixes or your incense for that. And it's also perfect for summer solstice. So look at all the beautiful bird's foot trefoil down here. I always find that things blossom at completely different times on this property that I like to search on. And there's a ton of daisies out there too. Tons and tons. There's some of that, I'm gonna guess from here without going in there, the sticky willy or cleavers. It could be false cleavers always. And there's also some multiflora rose. And if we don't want this to take over the gorgeous field that is filled with all sorts of yumminess, we want to pay attention to how big we let them grow. And on this side over here, you see those big brown stalks. That is last year's blue vervain. So that's last year's growth. And look at where it's growing out of. So I am going to guess that all of those plants out there with the purple leaves are all going to be blue vervain. And you usually only use the top, and you have to make sure that whenever you harvest, wherever you harvest, one, you're harvesting in a safe place, a place that is not filled with chemicals, a place that is not too close to the road, and you always want to make sure that there is plenty of what you are harvesting for it to propagate itself again. So although I'm seeing quite a bit of blue vervain right here, I would want to look around and see if there's more blue vervain in other places before I ever picked any, unless I was literally just picking one of the little stalks that comes up. I always leave offerings, and when you harvest, you always want to make sure that people cannot tell that you were there. That's the goal. So always make sure that you harvest in a safe place, away from places where chemicals have been put. If people use chemicals on their yards, your neighbors, you don't want to harvest anything out of your yard. You also want to make sure that you are always leaving enough for the plant, that the plant that you're harvesting is not endangered. And try not to pull the roots out of the plant unless it is the roots that you need to harvest. And always make sure that there is plenty of that plant so that you can't tell that you were there. And as you can kind of see behind me here, we are getting ready for a large storm to come in, and I am quite a bit far away from my camper. So I'm going to head back and finish our second summer weed walk. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you enjoy next Tuesday's video as well. And I will see you next Tuesday. Many blessings, tribe. I hope you're enjoying these.